All right, hello and welcome back to another edition of Off the Post. This is another Jake's Takes video. This time I'm breaking down the game three, the week 3 game between Western New York Flash and the Washington Spirit. This was Western New York's home opener, and even though it was a home opener, Washington really dominated this one, I think, possession-wise, and it was really hard to tell that they were the away team. Speaking of being an away team, last year, here's a stat for you. Their away record was 2 wins, 3 ties, and 5 defeats. And through 2 games on the road this season, they've already matched their win total from last season. So definitely a really good game if you're a Washington Spirit fan. So to begin my breakdown, I always start with the starting lineups. So we'll start with Washington. You know, they've really settled into this 4-3-3, although at times with Nairn, she can push up and make it like a 4-2-3-1, or Joanna Lohman also pushes forward as well. Also, we saw in this game that Crystal Dunn has moved back into the central forward position. In her place, Shayna Williams came into the wing mid position, and Diana Matheson kept her place over Estefania Benini out wide on the left. Now for Western New York, we had this also another 4-2-3-1 formation. And they're a little weird because on the roster they only have 4 defenders listed, and they've got them all in the field, but one of them's playing as a holding number 6 role in Alana Kennedy, and then they also have Elizabeth Eddy, who's been converted into that right back role. Right back. So a little weird that they're, mixing people around and trying people out in different positions. Allende also was tried out at the number 10 role, pushing forward. And that front 3 of Mackenzie Doniak, Lynn Williams, and Taylor Smith, they were rotating around throughout the game. So it wasn't, consistently one of them in the middle, 2 of them out wide. They would rotate and swap positions throughout the game. So to start the game, actually, Washington had a really good start, and actually it starts right in the back with Stephanie LeBay. Not really anything going on. She just has the ball and it's going to play a nice long ball, and really highlighted in the starting lineup, Shayna Williams came into this match, and right away you can see why, because she had a very nice height mismatch with Jaylene Hinkle out on that wing. And as you can see, this long ball is directed at her. And throughout the game, Steph LeBay was always trying to pick out Williams on long balls because she was winning them. And she's going to win this first one here against Hinkle. So that really sets up the play. Now at this point, here we go. This play kind of stuck out to me. Reminded me of this video I was watching a couple months ago. It was Thierry Henry. He was on Monday Night Football on Sky Sports, and he was talking about how Barcelona play. And when Pep Guardiola was there and when Thierry Henry was playing for them. So they really emphasized the 3 Ps. So in that case, it's position, possession, and play. And throughout the game, I thought Washington did a really good job of utilizing these 3 Ps, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit later. But as you can see, positionally wise, if you can see Diana Matheson up at the top of the screen, she's really holding high and wide, which really opens up the space in the middle for Huster, Nairn, and Joe Lohman to really operate and have space to push forward. Her keeping that position wide really opens up that space for others to move around. And at this point, we win the knockdown. Washington does, and Tori Huster is going to knock that ball out wide to Christine Nairn. And when she gets out wide, she's going to win that ball and immediately look forward. And what actually happens is there's an overload situation. And I think I actually went a little too far. I picked the wrong number. Yep, that's what I wanted. First of all, we see Christine Nairn. She's out wide now. Alana Kennedy hasn't tracked her to that wing position, and it's creating an overload situation. So Jalen Hinkle has to pick between stepping up with Nairn or staying on her mark, which is Shayna Williams. Because she's going to step up, that's going to leave Williams with no one marking her, really. Erceg's got both Crystal Dunn and Shayna Williams to mark. So it's really going to create a mismatch in numbers at the back. And if we go back to the picture I was just showing you a second ago, number 8, what we see is that pass actually went behind Shayna Williams and it ends up at Crystal Dunn. But Crystal Dunn's alert. She's smart and alert to pick up that pass, and she's going to take it and go inside with it. And when she makes this turn, actually she's going to use the weight of the pass to use that with her movement to turn away from Abby Erceg. Right now we see that Dahl Camper is between her and the goal. And it's a situation where she doesn't want to step too early because she knows if she steps, she can get burned for pace by Crystal Dunn. Crystal Dunn's, she had an MVP season last year, and you don't want to be caught stepping too early on her and giving her the chance to get in behind on that quick run. And actually, holding there, what we can see also is there's that space between her and Eddie. Eddie's out wide because of the smart positional play by Diana Matheson. And there's that huge space in there for a really beautiful through pass. Dunn plays it with the outside of her foot into that space. Eddie, maybe she could have gotten that. Maybe if she let it roll across her instead of trying to bite early and get it quickly, maybe she could have stopped it from turning into such a dangerous situation. And if we go back to those 3 Ps, so we had the position, the possession play from Washington, keeping the ball there and working that overload. And now we're getting the play. So what Pep Guardiola really worked on was 2/3 of the field, position and possession were key. But once you hit the final third, you had the freedom to go where you needed to go. And that's where Diana Matheson really gets to step forward and push into that space that is open and available. And with that beautiful pass by Dunn, she has a really good opportunity to go in on goal. And she's going to take it and make it 1-0. Part of that possession that I was talking about earlier, one of the keys for Washington throughout the game was their ability to get the ball back to Steph LeBay. It's really important to have a goalkeeper who's confident on the ball, and she would come very high out of her goal area to collect possession from Oyster and Zadorsky. And again, here's another situation a little bit later in the half. Again, we see this overload. We get 1, 2, 3, 4 people in this channel area working passes. And when that's not on, when they're tightly marked, they play that nice, simple back pass to Nairn, and she's going to turn and switch the field and keep possession flowing. And that's kind of one of the things that they kept doing throughout the game, really working overloads and then turning and then switching the field, playing safe passes, keeping the ball moving. Just really smart possessional play from them. So going forward, we will see. It wasn't all peachy for Houston or for Washington throughout the game. If you looked at the final stats after the game, Western New York had 17 shots throughout the match. So they weren't necessarily great shots, or they weren't clear-cut opportunities necessarily. There was a lot of long shots, kind of forcing some shots from distance. But they actually did have a couple of great opportunities. I mean, right before this picture, there was the penalty, which Oyster gave up for blocking off Adriana Leon, and Mewis hit the post with her shot. So that was one of the golden opportunities for the night. This one came a minute later. Kleiner's going to step high, take a touch, and overhits it, and it's going to fall to Sam Mewis. Now, at the bottom of the screen, Taylor Smith is highlighted because she is going to have acres of space once Mewis picks up her head and picks out a pass to her. And see the separation she has from Zadorsky. I mean, she's 15, 20 yards away from her at this point. She's really in on goal. She's going to take a good touch forward and really work that space. At this point, we really want to see her cut in more. That's why I've got the arrow. And actually, she takes a touch that keeps her wide. And that's going to allow Steph Labbe to really come out and close her down. But what we can see is actually, even with that bad touch wide, she still has an opportunity to score. She's going to have to curl it around Labbe, but she has a much narrower target to aim at. And Steph Labbe's got most of it covered. And, she does get the ball around her in the end. But again, it's hitting the post because there's not a great angle on it. So, with Western New York, they were getting the opportunities. It's just being clinical in front of goal. And, with the age, with their age being so low and so many young attackers and so many players who are new to the league, it's hard to click when you're so inexperienced. So, it's not the fact that, we should be killing them because they haven't scored yet. I mean, they're young, they're still learning to play at this level. So time will tell. I think they'll be fine. Going forward, though, for Washington, right after that play gets wrapped up, a couple minutes later, here comes the second goal build-up. Another deep free kick from Christine Nairn. And it's not really overly dangerous. She's going to play it to the back post. As we can see, Shayna Williams is going to track it down. And from our next image, we're actually going to see that Jaylene Hinkle is going to be very over-exuberant, closing her down. So Shayna Williams collects the ball, and right before I snap this still, Jaylene Hinkle has her hand in the back of Williams. And as a striker, that's what you want. You want to feel that contact. And once you feel the contact, you don't really start to feel the need to move a whole lot. You really want to stand your ground a bit and invite more of that pressure on you. And because Hinkle is so, I guess, overexcited to get to the ball and clear it, she's going to put too much pressure on Williams. She doesn't necessarily push her over because you can see her hands are not in the back anymore, but because her leg is reaching in, trying to get to that ball and toe poke it away, she clips her heels. And you can see in between that tangle of legs that Williams' heels are being clipped. And that's going to cause her to go down, and that's a penalty. Again, it's a, young defender. It's a situation where we're not facing the goal, we're facing away. The pass was probably going to go outside the box. There wasn't necessarily the immediate threat to be putting that pressure on her, but Hinkle elects to, and that's why there's a penalty. And Diana Matheson steps up and makes it 2-0 on the night. So next, so I brought this image up again to go back to those 3P principles. And this is really the possession piece. Right now it's the 74th minute. And what we're going to see is that Houston, I'm sorry, I've been saying Houston all night, but Washington Spirit have been doing a great job of keeping possession throughout the night. And this is the first pass of like a 2-minute long sequence where they just ping passes around. It starts here in the middle. She's going to outlet it to Crystal Dunn, who's going to dribble out wide. Having a great outlet like Crystal Dunn just to hold the ball, keep it moving, get into the attacking third, let people get in with her is a great asset to keep possession. And then she plays it wide. Eddie gets it, but she clears it. And as we can see on the far side of the image, Diana Matheson's going to collect it and keep possession in that final third again. And I click the same picture. If I can click the right picture, we can see the possession keeps going. Again, it goes forward. Stengel gets it, and she takes a couple touches. She gets closed down, but she's going to play a safe pass back into that midfield midfield trio of Lohman and Huster and Nairn. We can see it again. Safe pass out to Kleiner is coming up. Going forward, we see, if I could just count and click the right pictures, this would go much faster. Again, overloaded on the side of the field. They're getting closed down. There's 5 defenders in that space, and they're trying to win it back. But Washington is so smart. They play simple passes, diagonal passes into space. They turn, they pass, they move. This was just a key for the night, over and over and over again. Another pass goes there. Another pass goes here. Back to Huster. She's going to spray it wide to Krieger, I believe, who plays it backwards to Megan Oyster, who's going to play it forward to Nairn. She's going to play a final pass back to LeBay, who's kind of far away, but still. And this kind of closes down the sequence in, 1:35, almost 2 minutes of possession play. Again, it's because of that structure. They play in their positions. When they get a chance to overload a side, they do it. They really draw in Western New York to close them down. And once they close them down, they get an outlet pass and switch the field of play those safe passes back to Megan Oyster, Zadorsky, get it to LeBay, get to their wingbacks, whoever is open, they're willing to play it out to them. And that was key to the night. And, as a road team, if you can keep possession for multiple minutes without the other team touching it hardly once or twice, that's going to put you in good stead. And that's why Washington's doing so well on the road, is because they keep possession so well and make it difficult for the other team to get to the ball. Here's the third goal to kind of wrap things up. Another play where Western New York, let up a sloppy goal because of their own mistakes. So this, another free kick from Nairn. One person in the wall, it hits her. It's going to unsight D'Angelo in the goal. Because she's unsighted, it's going to bounce in front of her instead of her pouncing on it and picking it up. And because it bounces, Eddie's not ready for that bounce, and it's going to bounce through, deflect off of her, and go into the goal. So again, another unfortunate thing for Elizabeth Eddy, who's having a rough transition back into that right back role. She was really stretched by Diana Matheson, who was playing high and wide throughout the night, testing her on to see how far she needed to step back and really testing her positionally. And then right before this, she actually gave up the free kick on this play. She clattered into Alyssa Kleiner, who had overlapped, and it was just a silly frustration foul from someone who's probably just been run ragged and probably feels a little overwhelmed because the winger on her side of the field was just not tracking back very, very well at all. So, rough night for her, but again, she's new to the position. Give her time. Things will get better. For a team like Washington, they're a well-oiled machine at this point, positionally, and they get the freedom to play. And they punish Western New York with 3 goals. So I guess in conclusion, I will, in conclusion, I'll put up my last image. And I've got the link to that video about the 3 Ps that Thierry Henry really talked about: position and possession and play. And if you kind of go back and rewatch some of those goals, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. There's a goal probably about halfway through that video of Pedro, who makes almost the exact same run that Diana Matheson makes, starting out high, sees that the person in the middle is winning their battle, who in this case, in the Barcelona video is Lionel Messi. In the Washington Spirit case, it's Crystal Dunn. And they both pick out a diagonal through pass into space for the winger to run into, and it turns into a goal. So you'll see a lot of similarities there. So hopefully you check it out, get to learn a little bit more about positional play and possession, and hope you enjoyed my breakdown. Next week, I'll be back with our game of the week, which will be Chicago versus Boston Breakers. So tune in next week, and hope you get a chance to watch some of the games next weekend.